Good morning, everybody. It is your local friendly therapist, and it's still dark outside, so that's kind of why the lighting might be a little bit off. I was hoping to shoot a video before seeing clients, so here we are. Today, I wanted to talk about why people might be making COVID-19 a heavily political matter. And I first want to preface this by saying, in each matter where we have leadership decisions and decisions made by the government about funding and different things that directly impact our lives, of course that's political, right? But I wanted to talk about why people might be getting overly political about things or making it an extreme of like, this is why, we're doing well politically, or why, for instance, they're saying things like, President Trump is handling this super well. And then on the other end, people are saying, oh my gosh, this is what's wrong with our country and why President Trump is not handling this well. And I am not here to talk about the specific politics or policies or share my opinion on that. But what I did want to do is share why different scary events like this become so political from the psychological perspective. And one of the big things and factors are that our brain likes to create meaning, and it likes to connect certain events to each other to make sense of things, especially when events are outside of our control. So, COVID-19, having a pandemic, that is definitely something that no one really was predicting. It's outside of our control. We can't make it go away. So what the brain will try to do is find someone or something to blame. That way it kind of has this false sense of control, and this false sense that if I understand how this all happened and I have someone to blame or, make good of it or bad, then somehow I might be able to prevent this from happening in the future or control other events in the future that are really, truly out of our control. So I think that there's part of that where, a lot of people are making this more of an extreme political thing because they want to have control over it. It's scary to think that uncertain things can happen to us and we don't have all the control in the world that our brain would like to think that we have. The second reason people are tending to fall into camps of extreme, like, oh, politically we're handling this well or we're not, is that we have this thing called attribution bias. If you already had a favorable view of President Trump or an unfavorable view of President Trump, you will trend towards making meaning of the positive events as, if you're on this camp, you're going to say, oh, this is because we have such good leadership and this is a good thing and kudos to our party, or whatever you're going to make meaning of that. But essentially the good you will overly bias as being part of or connecting it to your positive views of a certain political party. And then the opposite happens. If you have a negative view of a political party, you will use your attribution bias to see all the things that go wrong, and you will overly attribute that to the negative views you have with this political party. So the other thing that we're seeing is a lot of people's attribution bias is kicking in, and whether they fall in one camp or another, they are making more meaning of this being either good or bad, depending on their original political views. So in all of this, I hope to describe that so that hopefully what we can do from that is, yes, we have to look at this, get information, and understand things and try to do what we can of it, but try not to fall victim into overly seeing things as good or bad according to your politics with this event. I think that a lot of people are doing that and creating even more political polarization, which we don't really need right now. But there's a reason our brains are doing that. And so if we have grace and we understand our brains and why they work that way in the first place, sometimes that gives us the ability to really step back and see things in a more realistic perspective. I just wanted to share my thoughts on that. I hope that you are well. I hope you're treating others well, even if they differ from you politically, and that you're taking care of yourself right now. It is uncertain, crazy times, but we are all in this together. and I will talk with you next time.